Hello everyone, welcome to Charuchi classes. So let's read the lesson number 24 of Tamil Nadu Board Class 12 History, and the chapter talks about the American War of Independence. So let's get started. The English colonies in the America. So after the discovery of the American continent, there was a continuous migration of people from Europe to the New World, and South America was colonized by the Spain. Now the English and the French established their colonies in the North America by the mid 18th century, and the English had established their 13 colonies along the Atlantic coast. So landless peasants, people seeking religious freedom, and traders had settled there. Initially, the relationship between the colonies and the British government was cordial. Although these colonies were controlled through the governors, they enjoyed political freedom. So each colony had its own assembly elected by the people, and it enacted laws concerning local matters. However, the policies followed by the home government, Britain, had resulted in the confrontation. So this ultimately led to the American War of Independence, at the end of which the colonies became independent. So there were several causes for this war. So what are the causes for this war? First is the fundamental cause. So the British government followed the policy of mercantilism. According to this policy, the colonies existed for the benefit of the mother country, and the colonies were expected to furnish raw materials. They had to serve as a market for produced goods. Moreover, the colonies had to ship their goods only in the British ships, and in these ways, the colonies were expected to add more wealth to the home country. So, the British government enacted laws to implement this policy of mercantilism, and a series of navigation acts were passed by the British Parliament to control the trade of the American colonies. These acts insisted that all the goods of both exports and imports should be carried in ships owned by England. So customs collectors were appointed in the colonies to implement the navigation acts, but the American colonies considered these acts as the infringement of their rights. The Molasses Act levied heavily duties on sugar and molasses imported into the American colonies, and in addition to this, a series of trade acts, remember, a series of trade acts were also passed to control the trade in the colonies. For example, the Hat Act of 1732 prohibited the import of hats from one colony to other, and the Iron Act 1750 stopped the large-scale production of iron in the colonies. Now, these acts were opposed by the colonies. Due to these restrictions, bitterness developed between the home government and the American colonies, and they were looking for an opportunity to free themselves from the control of Britain. So let's have a look at the circumstances that led to the War of Independence of America. So first, we are going to read something about the Seven Years' War. So the end of the Seven Years' War in the 1763, and the transfer of Canada from France to England removed the French fear from the minds of the Americans. Now, there was no need to depend on their mother country against any possible attack by the French. Therefore, the American colonies decided to face the colonial attitudes of the British. Now, Granville Major. So, when the Granville was the Prime Minister of England, a series of acts were passed affecting the interest of the American colonies. The Proclamation of 1763 prohibited the colonists from purchasing lands beyond Appalachian Mountains, and the Sugar Act of 1764 increased the duties on the sugar, which affected the interest of the colonies. The Stamp Act 1765 insisted on the use of the British stamp in commercial and legal document of colonies. Now, the Quartering Act made it compulsory that colonists should provide food and shelter to English troops, and these measures were severely opposed by the colonists. They raised the slogans "No taxation without representation," thus insisting American representation in the English Parliament. As violence broke out in the streets, the Stamp Act was repealed. So, what is the Stamp Act? Stamp Act was the use of British stamp in the commercial and the legal document of the colonies. So this was about the Stamp Act. Now, Townshend laws. So Charles Townshend, who was the finance minister of the England, imposed the fresh taxes on the glass, paper, tea, paint, etc. in the 1767, and it was known as the Townshend laws. So the Americans protested it and boycotted the British goods. On 5th of March 1770, 5 Americans were killed by the British soldiers at the Boston during the protest, and it was known as the Boston Massacre. After this event, the Townshend laws were repealed. So here you will see the image of the famous Boston Tea Party. So in the 1773, so a new Tea Act was passed imposing a tax on import of tea, and it was a symbol to show that the British Parliament had the right to tax the colonies. But Americans showed their protest, and a group of Americans dressed as Red Indians climbed on the ships and threw away the tea bundles into the sea at the Boston harbors, and this event took place on the 16th of December 1773, and it was known as the Boston Tea Party. So the offenders were punished. In the 1774, the British Parliament passed the Intolerable Act against the Americans in order to prevent such protests. So next we are going to have a look at the Philadelphia Congress. So the American colonists decided to unite in their fight against the British. In September 1774, the first Continental Congress was held at the Philadelphia, and it was attended by the representatives of the 12 colonies except Georgia. So this Congress appealed to the British king to remove the restrictions on the industries and trade and not to impose any taxes without their consent. So the Second Continental Congress met in May 1775 at Philadelphia. Delegates from all the 13 colonies attended this Congress, and prominent leaders like Thomas Jefferson and Benjamin Franklin participated in it. Here you will see a picture of Thomas Jefferson. So the George Washington was made the commander-in-chief of the American Army. As a last attempt, an olive branch petition was sent to the British King George III, who rejected it, and the king proclaimed that the American colonies were in the state of what? In the state of rebellion. So next is the Declaration of the Independence. So in the January 1776, Thomas Paine, here is his picture, you can see it here. He came to America from England and issued a pamphlet, Common Sense. So it attacked the idea of hereditary monarchy and advocated the democratic government. More than 1 lakh copies of this 50-page booklet were distributed throughout the 13 colonies, and it inculcated the fighting spirit among the Americans. On the 4th July 1776, the American Declaration of Independence was adopted by the Continental Congress, and it was prepared by a committee of 5 led by Thomas Jefferson, who included the ideals of human freedom in it. Now, the Declaration of Independence laid emphasis on the unalienable rights of the men, namely life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. So, next is important battle we are going to discuss. The war started in the 1775 when the first battle was fought between the British soldiers and the colonial militia at Lexington in the Massachusetts. Soon, George Washington assumed the command of the army of the American colonies, and the British General Gage won the victory at Bunker Hill. So, in the 1776, the British forces led by Sir William Howe defeated Washington in the Battle of the Long Island, and however, the Army of American Colonies, commanded by the General Gates, defeated British troops at Saratoga in October 1773. The victory at Saratoga marked a turning point in the war, and the French troops under Lafayette came to help of the American colonies. So finally, the British troops under the command of General Cornwallis surrendered to Washington at Yorktown in 1781. The war came to an end by the Treaty of Paris 1783. So this was about the American War of Independence. So let's have a look at the importance of this war. So the American colonies became free and Republic of the United States of America was established, and the first democratic government with a written constitution in the world became a reality. Remember, this is the first democratic government with a written constitution in the world. Now, the Bill of Rights ensured fundamental rights to the citizens of the USA, and the American War of Independence was also called the American Revolution because it inspired the French Revolution. American War of Independence inspired the French Revolution. It was not only a war against the England but against the aristocracy and reactionary elements. It was also a fight against a colonial dominations. It introduced new political, social, and economic setup in the United States of America. Democracy, with the separation of powers on the model suggested by French thinkers Montesquieu, was founded. Capitalism also took strong roots. However, the rights of the sons of the soil, the Red Indians, and the Negroes were not considered at that time. This is very sad. Anyways, we have come to an end of this chapter. Do subscribe to our channel for more such lectures, and do comment below if you have any query, and if you have any suggestions you can always comment on these videos, and you can hit the like buttons and you can click on the bell icon so that you will get notified when I'll upload my next videos. And do share these videos with your friends, your colleagues, your kids, or your parents, anybody you want to share the knowledge with. Thank you.